Well, good evening. This is Map Show, and I'm excited to be meeting with you tonight. And a special welcome to Bucks, who will be joining me later on this session just to give some of his insights relating to tonight's topic. And I would just like to welcome you and thank you for joining us and encourage you to share your insights, your comments, your questions, whatever it might be, whether you're watching this video live or whether you're watching the recording. We would love to hear from you. And I trust that if you're not yet a subscriber, that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's a place that once you're subscribed and you've rung the notification bell, as the young people say, then you will get to hear about all of our sessions as soon as they are posted, so you won't miss a single one. And I would also just love to encourage you, those of our mappers out there, our mappers and our mentors, associates, partners, and directors. If you have a talk that you'd like to share, I'm sure you have many, please make contact with us. We'd love to engage you, because this is not just a once a week show. This is going to be a show that runs 24/7. If you have the kind of vision that I see right now, and it's not going to be 24/7 in one language, it's going to be 24/7 in multiple languages around the world. And I look forward to seeing that. In fact, I just see right now that every country, every place is going to have their own 24-hour channel. What do you say, Bucks? I think this is going to be amazing. And here in South Africa, of course, we have 11 official languages. So you can imagine, we already have the potential of having 11 channels right here in this country. So if you can dream big, they say, if you can dream it, you can make it happen. And tonight is about vision insights. And I wanted to just to share a short message with you. And as I was preparing this evening, I was saying to Bucks, it's a revelation that I had in the early hours of this morning. But it's something that is the result of many, many years of thinking about the topic of vision. What's very interesting is that we have certain words in our language that we use. For example, when I say words, maybe let me rather change that to phrases. We talk about things like, he has seen the light. Or we talk about somebody having a light bulb moment. We talk about the light at the end of a dark tunnel. We talk about the fact that we shouldn't put our light under the table, but we should put it on top. And you know, there's language that we use, and I'm wondering if we actually understand the origin of these statements. And I'm asking myself, I wonder what the origin of these statements are, these phrases that we use so regularly when it comes to vision. And as I was thinking about this, I thought, well, you know something, this is actually interesting, because what is vision? And when I say what is vision, I'm talking about the ability for me to see physically, my physical vision. What is it other than reflected light? So if nothing was reflecting light, I would be blind. I wouldn't be able to see anything. So vision itself is literally seeing the light. It's seeing the light. And so when we have a vision, it implies that we have seen something. And if we have seen something, light was emanating from that source. And so it applies to physical vision, and it applies to the kind of vision that we're talking about, which is when you see the invisible, when you have the light bulb moment, when you see the light, when you when you know there's some hope in the future. This is what vision generates for you and I. So the question is, what is it that kept me awake in the early hours of this morning? Well, it was reference to the story of creation. Now, there are many different creation stories. If you travel around the world, talk to different cultures, there are different creation stories. But I want to share this one phrase with you of a particular creation story that I'm familiar with. And it starts like this: let there be light. Let there be light. In other words, let it be seen. Let it be seen. Let the vision be visible. Because you see, the statement, let there be light, was not the creation of the sun and the moon. According to the story, the sun and the moon only came around on day 4. So this day 1, I saw it in a completely different context, in the wee hours, as they say in Scotland, in the wee hours of the morning. And maybe Bucks will identify with that, because as we pass through certain stages in life, we recognize what they mean when they say the wee hours of the morning. And so there I was in these early hours, and I was tossing and turning, and I couldn't get this story out of my mind. And I began to realize that maybe this is the vision being told. Let there be light, let it be seen, and this is what you will see. And we go through the process of the story. And so it is no coincidence that you and I talk about this idea of I've seen the light. I've had a light bulb moment. That person has seen the light. Sometimes you get frustrated with someone because you're trying to share a vision, a concept, or something to them. And, in your frustration, you get to a point where they finally get it, and you kind of exclaim, they've seen the light. They've got it. They've understood it. And so tonight, I want to just talk about this concept of the light for a moment, and to say that when you have clarity of vision, it implies, it infers that you have seen the light, and the light that you have seen is not visible to others. The vision that we're talking about is something that's unique to you. It is something that you have seen, not with your physical eye, but you've seen it with your mind's eye. You've had a glimpse, a peek, a step into the future. You've seen it with clarity to such a point that you now need to do something with it. And if we look at the example in the story of creation, the first thing that was done was the vision, the light, that which was seen was described in great detail. And with you and I, when we have a vision, when we see the light, the first thing that we need to do is we need to describe that vision, that light that we have seen in detail. And remember, when I say light, I'm saying to you that you cannot see unless light enters your eye from the thing that you now call visible. When light does not enter your eye from an object, the object is invisible to you. So when you have seen the light, when you have seen something, even with the mind's eye, it infers that that thing is visible to you. And before you forget what you have seen, you need to describe what you've seen. You need to write it down with clarity. Because what's interesting is in the second chapter of the story, you see the actual creation happening and everything seems to be happening together. So from my engineering mind, I'm saying the first chapter is setting out the plan, it's describing the vision. The second chapter is the fulfillment of the plan, of the vision, the manifestation of it. And the third chapter is when things really heat up. I think in the third chapter, contrary to popular belief, I think in the third chapter, in fact, man doesn't get it. Eve finally gets the picture and she says, okay, great, we're going to go and conquer this place. We're going to take back this domain. And the key is I'm going to take that fruit and open the door and go and steal from the person who has taken away our inheritance. Well, now that's going to keep you awake tonight, I'm sure. But you know, when I was thinking about this light, and I was thinking about the process of manifesting a vision, it tied in so well with our topic this week. And our topic this week is about a character trait of leadership. And the character trait of leadership that we are discussing in our MAP cafes, by the way, if you're not part of a MAP cafe, if you've not joined the MAP club, make it a priority. Get together with us. Let's talk. Let's share ideas, because through that we get new and exciting perspectives of the things that we might be grappling with right now. So join us. We need your insights. We need your perspective. And those happen every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and 8 a.m. Central African time. And if you live in the UK, if you live in the rest of the world, it's at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. Universal Standard Time, or GMT. Okay, so you can go and figure that out later. But you could meet with us. Join us. We would love to meet you and discuss these kinds of things. But let's get back to this idea of integrity. The quote in the message of integrity was something to this effect, that integrity means your thoughts, your words, and your deeds, the things that you do, are in alignment. So you might say, well, what has this got to do with vision? It has everything to do with vision. Because if you have seen a vision, if you have seen something clearly with your mind's eye, it means by inference that you have a thought that is clear, so clear that you can literally see it. And that thought that you have seen needs to begin to flow out of your mouth. Your vision needs to be talked about. It's got to be confessed. That which you possess is that which you have confessed. So if the things that you possess currently are not exciting to you, it means that it is a reflection of your confession. Therefore, to change your possession, you need to change your confession. And if you've caught a vision, your vision, or rather your confession, the words that come out of your mouth, the creative ability that you have in your words, the seeds that you sow with your mouth need to be aligned with that vision. And then your actions, your step of faith needs to be aligned with those words. You probably have heard that your thoughts lead to your words lead to your actions lead to habits, your habits lead to your character. And when it comes to vision and the manifestation of vision, integrity is a primary thing. The vision that you've seen, the thought, the idea, that the light bulb moment that you've had, that is what you need to be speaking about. It's got to consume you. It's got to come out of your mouth. When people meet you, when people see you, when people hear you, they say, there goes Glen again, the Map for Life guy. Why? Because all he talks about is Map for Life. And so what is it that you are known by? Does your speak, do the words that come out of your mouth constantly and clearly describe the vision that you have seen? And then, are those words backed with faithful steps of action? And I say faithful steps of action, and I mean that in two senses. One is that you are faithful to the vision. The other one is that you recognize in order for your vision to manifest, you've got to step in faith. You've got to step before you have the provision, because the provision is in the step. When you step forward, the provision for the vision is revealed. If God gives you a vision, He is for that vision. And when somebody is for something, we say they are pro that thing. So if God gives you the vision, and He would therefore be pro that vision, which means He is the provider for the vision. And if He is providing, you have to step in faith to reveal the provision that He's already placed there for you. Are you seeing the light? I was saying to Bucks earlier that I made an error when I created the thumbnail image for this evening's video. I put vision insight instead of vision insights. And when I saw the spelling error, I saw a new message, and that was vision insight. In other words, a vision is something that you clearly see, and the only reason you can ever see something is if it is emitting light, and if it is emitting or reflecting light, you can see it, and once you have seen it, that image is yours and yours alone, and you need to begin to confess it, you need to act on it, and your vision will manifest. If your integrity is out of alignment. In other words, if the words you speak are not aligned with your vision, if you constantly say, it is difficult, it is impossible, it can't happen, I don't have the resources, I don't have the education, I'm too young, I'm too old, I don't know what excuse you can come up with. But if you are speaking that language over your vision, don't expect it to manifest. No, it doesn't matter how tempted you are to give some excuse or some reason to justify your inaction. Speak only life over your vision. Refrain from speaking death. Speak life. And when you speak life, step in faith. And those three ingredients, I believe, are going to miraculously transform your vision into a vision that others will also see. And they will see the result of the actions that you've taken manifest and visible in this world. I look forward to hearing your insights and discuss and chatting with you. If you're joining us, like Del Marie here from Pretoria, please tell us where you're from and share your questions or insights. It is really a very important topic. And just after this short little break, Bucks is going to be joining me, and we're going to have a brief chat about this concept of vision. And I know he has some exciting thoughts on it as well. We'll see you in 40 seconds. Well, Bucks, it is an interesting discussion that we're having this evening. And before we continue chatting about it, and I'd love to hear some of the things that that have been highlighted for you. I'd just like to welcome Quinton from Cape Town. Hey, Quinton, we're missing you, buddy. Great to have you joining the show tonight. and I look forward to seeing you in our morning map cafe at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Quinton's going to be joining us. It's going to be a great session. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyone else want to join? Please pop me a WhatsApp message. I'll put my number on the screen in a short while. Send me a WhatsApp message, and I'd love to invite you to join us either at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., or even 9 a.m. on a Thursday. So, Bucks, I've done all the talking this evening. So, and you've been doing all the listening, desperate to say something, I'm sure. So tell us what your thoughts are this evening after listening to that.
You know, Glen, I've been listening and I've made a couple of notes. And one thing that really struck me is that when I see the light, I need to describe the light I see, so that other people can see it as well. Now that is profound. I mean, that's what it's all about. However, you know, we and I'm talking about my own life. We were brought up to be very conservative. Just do what your parents say you need to do. Just do what the teachers say to do. Go to university, give them the right answer so that you can pass your degree, and then start work for the post office or for the government or for a bank. And
for Eskom, don't forget.
For Eskom. And that's prevented us from seeing the light, because I really take it that you say says that I need to be able to describe the light that I see so that other people can see it as well. But we must also be careful that we are not seeing the light, but just believing what this says. And I'm not seeing it myself. And you know, I see it in with individuals, but especially with business. There's a massive confusion between what is a vision and what is a really good goal.
Yeah.
And a lot of we have good strategic objectives, and we then often say that we have this vision, and we talk about our objectives, but we haven't seen the light yet. And we, unfortunately, we live in a time, and it's worse now. And it was in my time already. There is, while you were talking, I was thinking about my grandchildren. That we have the privilege to live in a flat on the premises with my son and the grandchildren. They will sit and play and talk to somebody and do stuff that it's just amazing. And they talk and they do and they describe everything they do, because what they see it, we don't see it, but they see it. But then that has been suppressed in some way by the system, by us as parents, by the school system, by the society. That is suppressed. People, we suppress that from the kids. Is they get to a stage where they no longer see. They just believe what the teacher says. Oh, well, that's how it should be, and what the parents say. Okay, that's what it should be. But they don't really see the light.
You know something, what's interesting about what you're saying, Bucks, is that as you were talking, there's two things that have come to mind. But on this issue, one of the key things for me is that when you see clearly a vision that is divinely inspired, there is no way that you can achieve it.
Yeah.
In other words, you've got to unlock God's provision through your step of faith. So the fact that you've been able to see it in the first place, you know, if I see something with my physical eye, it means the object exists. And so my assumption that I make when it comes to the object that no one else can see but I've seen, it means that I've had a glimpse of something that exists. Other people haven't seen it yet, and I'm so convinced that what I've seen already exists that I begin to walk towards it, and that walking towards it is those steps of faith. But as you were talking, I realized that the best place to see the light is in the darkness.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in a dark place, and how many people haven't found themselves in a dark place in the past 3 years? You know, I know that you've moved cities. You're in a new environment. On top of that, there have been other things that have been happening. So I'm sure that you can relate to that sense of being in a dark place. And I'm not talking about those people experiencing load shedding at the moment, you know, or without power or whatever it might be. But it's when you're in that dark place that you begin to see things differently. And just one of the benefits of load shedding, which I'm currently experiencing in these hours here in my city of Pretoria, the capital of our country. Can you believe it? I'm sitting over here. One of the blessings is that when I look up at the night sky, I see stars that I didn't know existed. Because of the darkness, I see those lights in the sky. And maybe out of our dark place comes the revelation. In the dark place, we get to see the light. And you were chatting earlier about that reference, and maybe you can just clarify. You were talking about Habakkuk, that guy with a funny name. The guy Habakkuk. I mean, who on earth calls their son Habakkuk? I wonder what that means. Maybe there must be a good meaning somewhere. But he said something interesting about vision. Would you like to share that with us?
Well, Habakkuk, in the book of Habakkuk talks about that the Israelites was going through a bad patch. They were really been almost slaughtered, and the walls were broken down of the cities and whatever. And God said to him, "Go stand on the walls and look to the future and see the future for this nation, and then go down and write it on a piece of on a rock, so that everybody that sees it can run with it." So at that point of time, it's and this is, I mean, we're talking about God said to him, go and see the vision, go and see the future, go and see what I've planned for you, and then write it down so that people can see it and then run with it. So it's really seeing something that's not there yet, and it wasn't there for still a number of years before it actually materialized, when it actually happened.
I love that idea. You know, Bucks, you're talking about writing it down on the rock. You know, I can just imagine getting a hammer and chisel out and starting to chop out these letters in the rock. I mean, you've got to have absolute clarity of your vision, because you don't want to go make a mistake when you're doing it. And so, and you're also probably going to want to keep it short. You know, short and sweet, to the point. You want to write it so that it motivates and inspires people, so that what you were saying earlier, so that others can also see the light. Because I think if others catch the glimpse of the light, then they're going to run with it. I mean, that's essentially what you're saying, that Habakkuk was inferring. And what I like about that reference, and this is a very powerful aspect to it, and that is in the phraseology, in the written text, it goes on to say that because if you do this, it will certainly come to pass. I mean, imagine having a guarantee like that. I mean, just think about that for a moment. I mean, you write something on a rock. You write a motivating statement describing the future that you've seen when you stood up on the wall, which talks about having a vantage point. It talks about looking into the future. It talks about looking beyond the present. It talks about having hope. I mean, there's all these. If we really start digging into that what you just shared, I mean, our minds have to be expanded by that idea. And that hope, that vision that he shares lifts the people that are downcast. It lifts their eyes up and they start getting hope. They start believing in a better tomorrow. They start acting on it. And then it manifests. And I think there's a lesson there for you and I, and for those listening to this recording and participating this evening. Let us go and get that clarity of vision. I think there's some people, you talked just now about vision and goal, and just incidentally, Peter and I were talking about that this morning, about vision and goal. And as we were discussing it, we realized, and I can't remember what author or what speaker I heard this from, and I'm sure it's been there for a very long time nonetheless, but there was a particular person who shared this with me for the first time. I think we all have somebody who tells you something for the first time and you remember it. And he said, a goal is a dream with a deadline. A goal is a dream with a deadline. And I think, so a goal is something concrete. It's like my goal is to go to Cape Town. My vision is what's going to happen when I get to Cape Town. When I get to Cape Town, I'm going to be standing on the top of Table Mountain, and I'm going to be looking across the bay to Robben Island, and I'm going to imagine myself swimming across the channel and being the first McQuirk ever to do it, or something. The vision is kind of the outcome. It's the stated outcome, whereas the goal is something different. The goal is measurable. It's a task oriented. It's something like that, and as I'm saying that, I know there are many people with different interpretations of what vision is. And we were talking about that earlier, about some people having seeing visions. You almost nightmarish visions, or you have spiritual type visions. Which is stepping into a different environment to what we're talking about right now. So there are different descriptions or definitions of vision, but what we're talking about is something that we see as the outcome of achieving the goals that we set ourselves, and as an outcome of us fulfilling the purpose for which we were sent. Let me stop there, because I know, I mean, you've got so many years ahead of me in terms of wisdom and things that you've been exposed to, Bucks. And
something you said is like what Peter also says: a dream is something that have a deadline, and I think a vision go beyond that deadline.
Amen. Yes.
So I think a dream is a dream, and it's good to dream, but the vision goes beyond the deadline. When I reach the end of the dream, then there's still more to come. There's still more that I haven't seen yet, haven't thought about. So the deadline is just the start of a new vision, or not a new vision, but that's just a beginning of the vision. The end is not there yet.
What's interesting about Stephen Covey is often referred to as the guy who said begin with the end in mind. But this the message that I shared this early on this evening about let there be light, I think that's beginning with the end in mind. Seeing first and then describing what you see and then manifesting it. So beginning with the end in mind is a really important thing. Another thing that we spoke about this morning was miracles, and how miracles is a word that describes something that happens when there's been seemingly no intervention from your part. And usually a miracle is something that people who are at their wits' end experience. You've tried everything. You're in a situation that's just beyond possible, and suddenly something miraculous happens. We've seen this in healings, for example. Somebody tries all kinds of medication. They've been given some kind of unpopular message from the doctor. And he says something, I've got some good news for you. You still have 6 months to live. And you kind of get this message and you say, well, thanks for putting it like that, but that doesn't sound like good news. But there's people that are in those kind of predicaments that also report miraculous healing. And so in the same way, I believe that miraculous provision is going to manifest for you and I when we step in faith. In other words, when we step using the little bit that we have, the little bit of energy that we've got to put one foot in front of the other, and we do that step, it reveals more provision that enables us to take the next step. But then along the way, as we are doing that, suddenly a person comes across our path that we never knew existed. Suddenly a new technology is developed that we hadn't even dreamed of. And all of these things begin to happen and the dream begins to manifest. I mean, I think of the idea to map the world, which was birthed in my mind in 1978. I mean, that's a long time ago. And when I look at the technology that's developed since 1978, it's made that vision possible. In 1978, it wouldn't be possible for you and I to be talking like this, and even less possible that this would be happening anywhere in the world. I mean, we can talk to anybody anywhere. But the technology for the vision has been developed. What we're using right now, in a sense, Bucks, is a miracle. Because in 1978, was the closest you got was maybe, what was that program we had? Man van Staal. You remember that one? I forget Steve Rogers. I forget the name of or Buck Rogers rather. I forget the name of the original English version because it was dubbed into Afrikaans here in South Africa. The Iron Man or something of that nature. And then Star Trek came along and these different things. But you and I are literally using a miracle for the 12-year-old that saw the vision of Map the World. Facebook, social media, all these things are new technologies that have come about. So if you have a vision right now that appears to be absolutely, completely, and you can confirm and prove that it's impossible, just hold those words for a moment, because somebody's working on a solution already for the vision that has been cast for you that you cannot see. It's going to come across your path when you take the steps of faith.
Yeah, and Glen, we're talking about miracle, and miracles go beyond the physical evidence that we see.
Lee Majors, thank you, Quentin. Lee Majors, he gave me, Buck Rogers was someone else. Lee Majors, thank you so much. Is Lee Majors the actor? Maybe Quentin can clarify that. Sorry, Bucks.
I'm saying the miracle is more than just the physical evidence that we see, and it goes beyond that.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for us to understand it because we don't see the light. We don't really see the light, and it's difficult because, again, blame it on somebody else, but we live in an environment, we live in an age where these things are not important. People and you still hear a lot of people, and especially business people, talking about this vision and where they're taking the business to, and but it's not. It's just reaching goals. I've got a goal. I want to do that, and I'm going to try and do it until I get it right. But the vision goes beyond that. The vision goes beyond that, and I think if we look at what's happening in our space programs today, there's a lot of people with vision there, and says we're going to do something. We don't know. I mean, people have already booked their seats to go to live on Mars.
Is that you? Are you? There's some people that are booking to go and die on Mars.
No, my vision is not that far.
Born on Earth, died on Mars.
Yeah. No, but you see, the thing is there's very few people that get that right, and the system, and I'm talking about the system, and I'm talking about the system we raise our kids, is not conducive to that, and it's just look. Just do what you need to do. I'll tell you what to do. You go write the exam, you pass the exam, and then that's half of your vision is already there. We can't get the kids to sit down and decide, what do I really want to do with my life? And then take this little child playing and says, what are you playing and why are you doing that? Is that something that you would like to do in future?
Yeah.
And if they then say yes, and it says, okay, let's do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah, Bucks, as you're talking like this, I'm thinking of my childhood where I spent most of my time daydreaming. And I think the world called it daydreaming, but I think I was imagining, I was visualizing, I was seeing the future. At least that's what I was trying to do all the time, because the present wasn't looking so exciting. The future looked like it could be different. And then I imagined, what part could I play in that better future? And one of the things that we were discussing this morning is the tendency for so many people to just accept the system we're in. Don't rock the boat, just toe the line. And I think to myself, how boring is life if that's all you can do? Just do what other people tell you to do. Somebody once said that the person who won't amount to much in life is the person that can't do what they're told, and the person who can't do that they can do nothing else. But for me, I'm guaranteed a coffin. It's coming, that's the guarantee. That's the end result of life, in a sense. We're all going to get there. So while I'm heading towards that, what can happen that's worse than that? In a sense, that is the end line. So if that's the end line, surely I could take a bit of my time now and say, let me step out of the system for a bit. Let me look at it from the outside. Let me look at a different system. Let me see how the kingdom was set up to operate. Maybe I could tap into something there. And I was thinking about this term that I used right in the beginning, and which you've referred to a few times, which is seeing the light. When we use that phrase, we talk. The message is talking about having a deep understanding. When you see the light, you've got it. You've understood it. you've accepted something. And I think vision is like that. We can make up all kinds of visions, but there, as Del Marie was talking about earlier, there's also those divinely inspired visions. And when those divinely inspired visions come, they don't leave you alone. You can ignore them. You can try and do something else, but you'll keep being pulled back to that. And so I just hope that those people who are listening this evening just reconnect with those divinely inspired visions, because for me, it happened when I was 12 years old. And just because it happened for me at that age, I always recommend to people that are struggling with their vision, I say, just return back to your youth, because subsequent to your schooling days, you have been given a new set of lenses to look with. You've been conditioned to look into the future the way the world wants you to look into the future. And the world's plan for you is to be an employee. God's plan for you is to be deployed. He has set you free. The world wants to control you and keep you and conform you and keep you in a place. He has designed for you to be absolutely free. And so we've got to take off the new lenses we've been given and return back to the days before we had lenses on, before we had been given these new lenses. And I think if we do that, maybe a memory will be restored. And so, you know something? When I was 6 years old, the strangest thing happened. And it's that kind of thing that could be the secret to your divine vision and your divine inspiration. So maybe we
and you're talking about people not caring anymore. And I was just thinking, I would say 95% of our total workforce in South Africa is at that point. They don't care anymore. And that's why we are in such a sad state that we are in at the moment. Again, I was just thinking now, Glen, the vision is like a torch. And you can see the light until where it stops against something. But if you're in where there's nothing that's going to stop it, you won't see the end of that light.
Yeah.
But there must be an end of the light. So, but we don't see it, and we just see it. We just see the blockages, the challenges where our light gets stopped.
You know what you're talking about, Bucks. You just reminded me of an experience that I had a couple of years ago. In fact, it was I think it was during our stay at home season, and I decided I was going to go for a walk, and I was outdoors, and it had got dark, and I was looking up at the night sky, and I thought, there's so much darkness up there. You got all these little spots of light. I mean, it's just black, the whole sky. I mean, the majority of the sky is black, and there's these little pinpricks of light. And I was looking at it, and I was looking at it, and I was looking at it. And then all of a sudden, a satellite came whizzing through the blackness of the sky. The satellite had no light, but what it revealed was that the black sky was actually full of light. All it needed was something to move through the light so that it could show me that what I saw as darkness, what I saw as blackness, what I saw as deep dark was actually immersed in light. All it needed was something to move through there. And maybe that's where you at this evening is, wherever you might be looking, and all you see is deep, dark, black out there. There's nothing. And And I want to tell you that that which you're looking at is not nothing. It's full of light. It's just waiting for something to pass through and reveal itself to you. And if that can happen with a little satellite moving across the night sky, I believe it can happen for you in real life, and you can have that sudden moment of clarity and be inspired. And then remember that once we have seen something, hey Bucks, we need to write it down. And once we've written it down, we need to speak about it. We need to talk about it. We need to confess it, not confess the things that can't happen, not confess the problems, the circumstances, the issues, the difficulties, all those other things, but to confess or confess the vision constantly, and then to act on it. And that's where Map for Life itself, the tool, is helping people to clarify what they've seen, and then to put together a master action plan to make it become a reality. And in the process, many people see the light. They discovered the purpose for which they were born, and that's fascinating. So, Bucks, I want you to share some closing thoughts from your side, because I think I got a sense that we're going to continue all night. This is such a good topic to talk about.
One last thing that I want to say, Colin, Glen, that I was thinking about is that anybody without integrity cannot have a vision, because I really believe that if you don't have integrity, you will not have a vision. So
we've got to get that alignment right, Bucks. We've got to get the thoughts, the words, the deeds aligned. And this is good and well to talk about that from a moral, ethical platform, because that is where we all fail, and we see integrity in that environment only. But when it comes to vision, I think this becomes a very practical application of integrity, and that it brings hope for everyone. We can all do that. We can all see something clearly. We can speak about it, and we can act on it. And if we do that and we do it well, that vision that we have will in fact be manifest. I just want to say thank you to Quentin for sharing his thoughts there. He said, he thinks that vision was painted as something you could have in the future instead of something you could become for the future. And I thought that is a very powerful way of looking at something. That brings a new perspective, doesn't it? And that's what we want. That's what we need, is to have different perspectives on something, because it stretches our mind. I remember listening to Les Brown, and he was referring to someone else. I think he said Gerda or something like that was the name. He said, once your mind has been stretched by an idea, it can never return to where it was. It can never shrink back to where it was. And so his message was that a school teacher looked at him and asked him to do something. He said, I want you to write this statement on the board. And Les's response was, I can't do that, sir. And he says, why not, Les? I want you to write this on the board. And he said, I can't do that, sir, because I am educatively, mentally retarded. And the teacher turned to him and said, don't ever let anyone's label or anyone's opinion of you define your future. And I think for us this evening, and for those of you listening to this recording, there's been labels spoken over you perhaps. And maybe you are living out those labels that other people have spoken over you instead of living the one out that God has spoken over you. And so let tonight be the night for change. It's the final day of the month of May 2023. Let's start the 1st of June with a new label, a label aligned with our vision. Bucks, thank you so much for joining this evening. This has been a great, great chat, and I think we've started a journey. I can feel that I'm inspired. You look younger. I think something exciting is going to happen. Port Elizabeth is never going to be the same because Bucks North landed there and he left a ripple that touched everybody's life. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. To all those of you who've been joining us tonight, remember every Wednesday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m. and soon every night of the week, and then 24/7. We will be here. We invite you to join us. Please share your comments, insights, questions online. We'd love to engage with you. And even better, why not join us in studio? If Bucks and I can be here, so can you. Have a wonderful evening, Bucks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Glen. Thanks for the talk.
Bye-bye.
Muy buenos días a todos. I am Miguel Sanz from Madrid, Spain. I started using Map for Life back in 2016, where this picture here, where I am with Glen, belong to that year in the training I did in Pretoria. And you know, there are many talks, many talks out there in internet, in real life, where great speakers tells you that you are unique, that you need to find your purpose, what you need to do in life. You end up out of those talks really happy, but naked, because you have no tools. What's Map for Life? Map for Life gives you the tools to achieve your goals, to be precise, to do all the things you need to do to achieve them. You are unique. Be mapped.